welcome to Alchemist Whim. I am Alchemist Jen. Yay, today is a day. The whim of the day is working on my floor pillow. Yes, I've made some progress, and because I'm sitting on the floor, and then I made some cookies, so I figured I would share that with you. Yes, cookies. Cookies are great. Alright, so I have trimmed my fancy fabric. So I have this beautiful, beautiful fabric. It's gorgeous. Dyed it so you can see some of that on there too. So it's got some good variation. Super, 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 super soft. So very excited about this. I'll just pet it. And so I've trimmed the edges. I've left the selvage edge because I want to use that as that side to sew it together, because I figure that's going to just be much easier and stronger because it is quite thick to sew through. So my plans are to fold over the edge and to give it a nice stitch through there probably. So we'll see how it goes to fold it over twice. I feel like that would be pretty strong. And I just don't want it to, I want it to last, so I want to make sure that I've got good stitching on it. My plan is to just make a sleeve like a pillowcase. Just keep it simple. I talked about it before about doing more complex things, but I think the best way to go is the simplest way to go. So one side will be this fabric, and the other side will be this fabric. So this one, I did trim the selvage edge because it was a little bit more erratic, and then I trimmed the other edges. So, so yeah, I'll fold over one edge of each of these and stitch it, and then I'll be ready to stitch them together. So right sides together, just a nice, beautiful stitch, and then just keep it pretty simple. I don't feel like I need to do anything too much more complicated than that. And I mean, I might decide if I, feel like my machine can handle it in the thickness, I might decide to go along that outer edge and reinforce it so that if I have it, folded over, and then just go around the outside as well too. So that probably is something that I will do, because I plan on doing that similar thing on the liner fabric that is going to be inside the pillow. Got some fuzz. Sorry, I cut the fabric and I got fuzz, I feel like, all over my face. So yeah, so fabric time, and then I can go ahead and start clipping. So clipping the edge is gonna be like so. I'm just getting fabric pieces on me, which is awesome. Yay for fuzz. And yeah, I think I'll give it probably a nice section there, and then once over again, just to make sure there's plenty of room for that beautiful stitch there. And then I've got my little red clips here, so I am not too precise. I just like to fold it over and clip, clip, clip. I'll put the red on top. I find it's easier to take them off when you're sewing if you've got them on top like that, and it's easier to stitch, I think, with that underside up as well too. So that's just my preference. I think most people end up doing it that way, but that's my thought process there. So about this cookies I made. So I made some shortbread cookies. I dabbled with trying out vegan butter in it just to see how the flavor would be. They tend to have more of that around than regular butter. And I like the flavor, but I miss the butter. There's a magic that comes from the butter, because when you have dairy and you heat it up, it activates the sugars in there, and then that ends up creating another layer of sweetness. Versus this is just Trader Joe's vegan butter type thing. I don't know if it's called spread or not. It comes in a brick. And it's still tasty, but it's not butter. So I did that, and then I added, I was going to do a chocolate dip with chocolate chips, and mostly a darker chocolate chip, and then cinnamon chips that I had gotten. So Ghirardelli chocolate chips, and then Hershey's cinnamon chips. And then I was like, well, this cookie's still kind of warm. I could just stick the chips in the top and then just let them melt a little bit, and then they'd adhere to the cookie. And then I just made these dot patterns. So that's what I did. Ta-da! Yay for cookie! And it's quite tasty. It textures just like it should be for shortbread. Not overdone. I like them a little softer, so I didn't overdo it. And yeah, so I'm happy with it. I love the flavor of the cinnamon chips. So not a vegan cookie at all, just because of the chocolate chips and the cinnamon chips all both have milk in them. But just experimenting and having fun with it, seeing what I can get out of it. Just life is fun. So I made some cookies, and I clipped some fabric, and I cut some fabric too. So that's what's up. I'm also working on some yarn dyeing planning and some pattern planning too. So I got a lot of little things on in my head, which is cool. I like a lot of things to do. And so yeah, so today has been a nice day for me, being able to do different things that I want to do. I'm just looking at this, trying to figure out which way is the predominant color way. So I find that with dyes, because when you send the when you dye and then the water goes through it, it does have almost a wrong side and a right side. So for instance here, you can see a little bit more definition. It gets a little more fuzzy on that side. So that helps me identify that. And then I just want to look for consistency. So I'll check a couple areas, see if there's more definition and then more fuzziness. But this one has more definition on the back. So that makes me question that. So sometimes it's just how they're folded. And like this, for instance, this side has more definition than this side. So it is fascinating. And then again over on this part, same fabric, this side has less definition than that definition, that side. Alrighty. And so I will just look for consistencies, and then more of a general feel to it, and then I will clip that side as well. So this is a square, because it is 100, what is it, 108 inch fabric. It's fabric. I think it's 108 inch, and then I got like half a yard or something. I can't remember what I'm doing. Apparently well, honestly, there's a storm coming in, and I think I'm having more trouble breathing than I think I am. So yay for that. So that's fact of life, and I'm fine with that. Listen to myself as I'm trying to figure out which way to go. I think what I'm going to do with this, let me just talk with you and just figure this out. So totally cool. I think as I'm flipping fabric everywhere, I feel like I want to call this side the outside. Yep, I'm calling it. I'm making a decision. I don't think it matters too much, really, to be honest. So I think I'm going to call this top part here then the part where I'm going to fold over it. See how effortless that decision was, and how I just kind of flubbed my way through that decision-making process. I'm going to make this about the same size as the other one, so that when you touch it, it'll feel really nice. It'll just kind of match. Plus it's a thicker fabric again, so I find the thicker seam tends to work really well, gives you plenty of room to make that connection, and I think it makes it more interesting. And so as I'm doing this part, I'm mindful of the fact that the liner fabric that I have is going to be needing to be, smaller than the outside fabric. Just like, if you were, your pillow isn't as wide as your actual pillowcase is in general, because you want it to be able to fit inside of a bigger space. So bigger space will hold a smaller thing. Thanks for following along with me there. All right, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm clipping these edges. I had fun with this one. This edge, you can see it right here too, like the edges of this fabric likes to fold over on itself. So I used the clips actually to help me wrangle the edges so that I could trim the fabric. So that was a cute trick. Especially a thicker fabric, I find it needed to be tamed a little bit more as I cut it. So, all right, I'm almost done clipping. It's such a great sound too, right? I can't grab any. There we go. And one more. And then just folding over any like pieces that, as it gets cut, the fabric tends to, start to shed a little bit of of itself, like little pieces of fabric you end up with. So I'm trying to pull those and keep those tucked under. And there we go. So we have clippage. So those edges can be sewn, and then that will dictate, inside, outside, and the other fabric's really easy to see which one's the inside and the outside. And then I can start sewing the right sides of the fabric together. I think I will fold it over and secure that edge, just because this is something that's going to be sit upon, and it's going to have furniture foam in there, so that's going to gather air. It's going to fluff out. So upon sitting on it, it's going to push air out, so that's going to create pressure on the fabric. Also why I wanted to do an inside pillow and then the kind of the pillowcase on the outside, just to have more strength and durability. So the inside pillow is one layer of fabric, but it's definitely going to have reinforced seams. So exciting. So I think my plan for that is just to create this big square and reinforce the seams, except for where I'm going to, stuff it. And I'll probably be in the middle, not towards the edge. And then I'll just sew that several times just to make sure that one's not gonna pop off, just because it won't have the inside seam. It'll just have two or more outside seams. So that's what I know. That's what I'm making up. It's my project. I can do what I want. I've thought about it. I've also looked at different things that exist to make sure that I'm going with the right plan, but also keeping it simple. I don't need to close off the big pillowcase part. I can keep it open. The inside fabric looks cool anyway. It's color, I think it'll be really kind of interesting to have it visible from the outside. That's what's going on today. I'm working on some fabric. Did some cutting and clipping, and then I made some cookies. I made a soup. It's been an alright day. I hope you have a good one. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to me ramble for a bit. And we'll see you next time. See where the whim takes us tomorrow. Thanks, guys.